This is part of a series of videos. Check the playlist in the cards or the description to find the others. Now I've got this timeline here set up to make Connie wink. Let's activate that when we click on Connie's eye. For that I'll need something to actually hover over, which means we need to make a sculpt. I'll use Surface Snap and scale down the shape we're holding. And then just smear on the shape we want to use as a button. We can then make it cheaper by lowering the resolution with the detail tool. This makes it a lot cheaper on graphics thermo down here. And it could be all fluffy and weird, but we won't actually see it because we'll make it invisible. And it doesn't need to be collidable either. But our imp will still collide with it, and so be able to hover over it. To be able to see the button now, we can go to Show Hide, and turn off Preview Invisibility. And now we can see the invisible things in our scene. And we can surface snap a chip to it again, and open it up. And as before, we can have a grab sensor, and a controller sensor, on remote controllable mode. Now we'll try this the same way, but it may have some problems. So hovered into the power, and then X into the timeline. This timeline is on once mode, so it will play the wink all the way through. Let's try this out. So we zoom over here, and then click on the eye, and it gives a wink. But if I hold X from over here, and then hover over it, it will wink as well. We can pin that to the screen and use test mode to figure out why that's happening. So X on the picture, and if we tweak the controller sensor, we can see while I'm holding X, that's trying to send a signal. It's just not getting out because the controller sensor is off. So if we keep holding X and hover over the eye, it will immediately send a signal. So we can keep on winking like that. What we really want is, when we press X, when we're already hovering over it, then activate the wink. For that I'll use a signal manipulator, with X going in, and coming out again into our animation. And put this into pulse mode. But this will still have the same problem. If we go into test mode and zoom over to the picture, we can hold X and hover over it. The output from here is still doing the same thing. It's turning on when we hover over it, and then it's pulsing. What we want to do is let it pulse no matter what, but then block that pulse from actually triggering the timeline. For that we can use a node gadget. The node gadget just lets signals through to the other side, so this will just work as it did before. But now, we can power the node while we're hovering over it. So it can only trigger the wink when we're hovering over it. So, test mode again. Let's go over here. And now I can press X and you can see the signal manipulator pulsing. But if I keep holding X and then hover over it, nothing happens because it's no longer pulsing. But if I'm hovering over it and then press X, it lets the pulse through and triggers the timeline. Let's just test that in normal play mode. Go over to Connie, hover over the eye and press X to find the secret. That's all for this part. Please give the video a like and subscribe.